Why do you say that, Father? You aren't afraid, are you?
No, but I respect some of the superstitions of others. Often they are founded in fact.
This is your time. This is your call to arms. For the Cryptid Connection, it's your voice. I'm your host, J-Day.
And I'm your host, Steven. Welcome to Cryptid Connection. Let's get this chat started.
Hello, we are with Mandy Dupuis today, and we are going to be talking with her about her history in the Cryptid and Bigfoot world. She has a special behind-the-scenes aspect of it that we're eager to learn about.
Y'all know how they say that there's a secret government inside the government? Well, Mandy would be that secret government. She oversees a secret group that is on Facebook. We're not going to name its name. It's exclusive membership. It's only got about 350 some odd people. It is a who's who. In many cases, it is extremely surprising who is actually in this group.
How are you doing tonight, Mandy?
I'm doing great. I'm really happy that you guys asked me to do this. That's really cool.
Good. We're excited to get this started.
Mandy, tell me first off, let's get in. How did you get into Bigfoot?
Well, I can't remember exactly when I first heard about Bigfoot as far as like in my childhood, but I do remember at some point seeing the Patterson-Gimlin footage and just sort of immediately just accepting that was another creature out there that we just didn't know very much about. I don't know what it was, but I do consider myself a pretty skeptical person, but Bigfoot was just never anything that I doubted. I just always felt like it was just something that nobody understood. And but I really didn't understand just how vast the subject was, or just how many people had encounters until just a few years ago when I started getting into it even more. But yeah, as a child, I always was kind of one of those weird kids who liked stuff like Bigfoot and aliens and ghosts and all the weird stuff. That's where you'd find me, in the library, whether at school or in the little library in our community. And I don't know what it was. I think maybe my grandma was the only one who ever really entertained those stories and ideas with me. But
how did your grandma entertain those ideas?
Well, she would be the one that would talk to me about ghosts or aliens and even Bigfoot. She called them woolly boogers. She lived her whole life here where I live still now in Willis, Texas. It's the kind of the Piney Woods area. And she heard stories growing up, and I just took everything she said as fact. So if she said it was something real, and I already kind of just felt like it was, then I just thought it was. I didn't think it was weird at all. But
now, Mandy,
even though, sorry.
Oh no, I just want to clarify something here, because it's not often that you run into this.
Mm-hmm.
I am understanding correctly. Your grandmother actually used the term woolly boogers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because you hear people claim that they're doing it, that they've read about it and that it was a historical term, but you don't often get people who actually, heard it in use and everything, because it's not a term that was necessarily used today. And so I just wanted to verify that we were understanding that. So you have a historical link there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually didn't know. Looking back, it took me a while to understand that that's what she was talking about. Because I remember her talking about woolly boogers, and kind of my imagination didn't fit like what I saw when I saw the Patterson-Gimlin footage. But then later I remember talking to her about that, and then she was telling me that that's what she was referencing, basically.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So you had a budding interest growing up. You obviously sound like you hung out a lot in the 001 section of the library. That's that's where all those books were. So you get to be an adult. How is it that you got pretty much into the position you're at now, if you don't mind our asking?
Right. Well, ever since YouTube, I guess, started up back in 2006, like every now and then I'd find myself like going down the wormhole of all the different paranormal aspects and channels that were on. And it was kind of something that I'd get really into and then kind of phase off. Like sometimes I'd be really into ghosts, and then sometimes the aliens, and then sometimes Bigfoot again. But I always kind of found people that just put me off of the subject, I guess. And so I would just lose interest. Early 2016, I guess, I had just had my daughter, and she was maybe about 3 or 4 months old. And it was just one of those nights where she was not sleeping. And so I was awake trying to find something to do with my time. And I started watching this channel. You probably have heard of it. It's called UFO Hub. And it basically has different authors talking about their paranormal books. It's like little interviews and stuff. And I had seen an interview with Kiwani Lasperitis, and I was watching that. And I was like, this is the most craziest stuff I've ever heard. Like, it was just like beyond anything I'd ever heard, but I couldn't stop listening to it, And but then after that video, like another video came up, was, they have suggestions after you watch a video or whatever. And the video that came up that was suggested was a video from Utah Sasquatch talking about how I found Bigfoot or something. I can't remember the exact title, but I clicked on that, just going down the wormhole, and I watched it and I thought, like, what the heck? Like, I had never thought that like that it was possible, like, where people could go out and actually do this without it being like hokey, sort of like Finding Bigfoot stuff, which I thought that was kind of like a joke. And so I just started like watching more of his videos, and I was like, wait, like, it was kind of like this, my whole like paradigm kind of shifted, because it was just something that seemed, it was like, I believed that they were out there, but it wasn't something accessible to me, I guess. It wasn't something that I ever felt like I could be a part of. I don't know why. That was just my kind of like belief at the time, but I guess because I didn't think it could be as, not necessarily easy, but like that there could be kind of roughly a formula to follow, I guess. And then also, he was relatively my age, kind of like, normal looking. It seemed like on TV, which is the only place I had really watched Bigfoot stuff, it seemed like everybody was like a lot older, or like kind of not all there mentally, just that stigma that is put out about the Bigfoot community, which is not altogether true. I mean, it is true in some areas, but, I've come to learn that it's all kinds of people of all kinds of educational backgrounds and
all walks of life. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. It's just a beautiful, like, cornucopia of minds all in it. But for some reason, just like that approach, just kind of like straightforward approach, I thought, well, okay, well, like, maybe there's something to it. Like, maybe this is something that I could do. So I just kept watching his videos. I actually like started kind of doing my own research in the areas of Texas that I traveled. And then just through reaching out and going back and forth on Facebook and stuff, I was asked to be an admin on a Facebook group, and that's kind of where it all started for me. And over the years, I got to meet a lot of, some I got to meet and some I just got to know online. There's a lot of other really cool folks in the Bigfoot community, and I've learned so much and had so much fun. And, there's a lot of ups and downs that have has come along with it. And I've learned that it doesn't matter how fun the subject matter is, everybody's going to bring their ego into it. And sometimes people's egos kind of ruin the party. So it's good and bad. But, I've been around the internet long enough to know that this sort of thing happens no matter what kind of niche you're in. It's just part of human existence. And so it's been interesting. I've learned a lot about Bigfoot, and I've learned a lot about people throughout the last few years.
So let me take you back a little bit. You stated that you had done some research on your own prior to your internet and online presence. What kind of research are you referring to? Are you referring to like the couch potato kind, or the kind that went out there and stayed a couple of days out in the woods?
Oh no, I wasn't that brave yet. But I did go out on some walks in the forest and kind of looked at everything with a new light. Kind of looking for any kind of sign, or actually looking for prints, just stuff that I kind of just had a new sort of appreciation and an idea. Like I went to some places, if it was within driving distance, if I could do it in a day, I would drive to like different sightings, that either, any sightings that I saw online, I would like drive out to that location or whatever.
Fair enough.
Basically
then.
what I'm trying to say.
Anyway.
As you progressed, you probably did a couple of overnights.
I didn't by myself, no, because I didn't know anybody.
But you've gone out currently overnight with people?
Around here, only once. But I've gone out in Utah a lot with a big group of friends.
I want to clarify something for a lot of people here, because I'm afraid they're not going to get the right impression. You live in the middle of the woods. You don't need to go out and stay overnight because you're there already.
Different locations,
I mean,
perhaps.
Well, in different locations. But I mean, for when we say like we're going out on a day hike, or something like that, sometimes that it's a 40-minute or an hour drive for some people, maybe more. And for Mandy, I think it's like 10 minutes. And so you have ready access.
There's a lot of places not too far.
Yeah, she said she's driven out. In regards to your research, as a female, what kind of hurdles have you faced, and how have you personally overcome them?
Well, as far as in the field, by myself, just wanting to overcome fear and wanting to have that personal accomplishment of I can do this by myself. I don't need anyone with me or whatever. But I do know that it definitely is safety in numbers, and it wasn't really safe for me to go out by myself. Thankfully, nothing ever happened to me the times that I did. But as far as, I guess the online presence, it was hard because I could tell that some people didn't take me very seriously. And it was definitely hard because maybe people thought that I had, because I was a woman in some instances, it was like some people kind of acted like the only reason I was doing certain things, as far as like moderating and stuff was because I was a woman, and that was kind of like all I was good for, I guess, if that makes sense.
About emotions.
Right. Yeah. And then for sure, there were some times when I would get upset about things, and I would have to kind of like rein it in because I don't think I wasn't being any more like dramatic than like some of the guys were being in some situations. But I just kind of felt like because I was a woman, I needed to watch it, because I didn't want anyone ever using that sort of thing against me, saying that I was being over emotional about things, this or that, whatever. But overall, it was okay. Overall, I did kind of notice. I did try and have like a Bigfoot profile on Facebook once where I was just going to have like only friends of people who are in the Bigfoot community, whatever. But that got a little crazy. I did get like inappropriate messages and stuff like that. But other than that, like nothing too bad. Nothing like that that we wouldn't experience in any other sort of community. But I did kind of feel some pressure to prove myself maybe a little bit more than other guys would. I kind of always felt like I need to make videos. I need to make, like, I'm always going out here and there, but I don't ever make videos. Like, no one's going to believe me if I don't put something online or blah, blah, blah. You know, I kind of felt that, I guess, performance pressure. I felt like nobody was going to take me seriously if I didn't, like, show some sort of proof that I'm hiking out in the middle of the woods in the middle of the night sort of thing. But I didn't ever really post too many videos. I didn't succumb to that pressure, and I'm kind of glad that I didn't, because if I were to put up content on a YouTube channel, I would want it to be, like, genuine, and I wouldn't want it to be anything that I felt pressured into to sharing.
Just for the record, you're one of the most level-headed women that I've met on the internet.
Including his wife. Including
my wife. I'm just saying, I've seen you maintain calm in some very heated discussions, and you have always conducted yourself well, and just, you know, you're welcome.
It does get kind of hard though, because especially when you become friends with a lot of these people, you have to, you know, if someone's attacking someone's evidence or someone's integrity, and you actually personally know the person that's being attacked, it's really hard not to let emotions come into play. And then, of course, that can go against you, because then they'll be like, oh, well, you're just saying that because you're their friend. And I'm like, well, you should believe what I'm saying because I'm their friend, you know? It's like, it's silly how arguments like that go. It's like, why are you telling me something bad about someone that I know when I know better? So I just try not to let personal blows, I try to knock those out before it gets too heated. But it does get hard when you become close to a lot of people in the community, because you do become a family, and you don't want your friends' integrity attacked. But then, you know, you also just want to stick to the facts and the evidence, and let the evidence speak for itself and stuff. And unfortunately, people do take those personal blows, and you just gotta roll with it, just like in any other area of your life, whether it be work or family or whatever.
So, Mandy, you get an idea and a view of things that happen behind the scenes that most people don't get. I guess I should say you see some of the ugly dirty laundry. Have you seen anything or heard anything that you can talk about?
It's something that I think is kind of a sensitive subject, but it definitely needs to be brought up as far as, you know, a reminder for anyone in this community. Something that I've noticed that kind of goes on really casually in the community is just people getting together for different campouts here and there, kind of organizing things online, and just kind of just going out somewhere for a weekend and camping out with, you know, virtually strangers. You meet online, you know each other online and stuff, but you really don't know each other until you hang out with them. And even just hanging out with someone a couple of days doesn't really mean you know someone. And I think that we all get really comfortable with each other online, especially if we've been members of a group for a long time, and we kind of think that we know each other and we kind of become the family or whatever. But then when you go out and you spend a weekend out in the woods with some people, unfortunately, like, things can go wrong, and it's something that you never really want to happen, but it's definitely something to consider when you're out there. And unfortunately, I was part of something that happened with a group of my friends last summer, and one of the members actually has some issues with PTSD and other things like that. And the situation happened where he was unfortunately triggered, and things got pretty violent and scary for a little while. And, you know, none of us there were prepared for something bad to happen. And we were up on a mountain. There was no service. We couldn't reach anyone. There was no help unless we got in a car and left and went like 30 minutes down the mountain. Luckily, no one was hurt. It was just a lot of, you know, psychological trauma going on for hours that night. And then the next day it was handled. But honestly, you know, ahead of time, there were some red flags. There were, several of us did know, that this is something that might have occurred. Several of us knew that this guy did have these potential problems, but because he was our friend and because we loved him and because we sympathized with his situation, we just kind of let that go. And unfortunately, for those of us who did know of this potential triggering sort of situation that could have happened, that we know did happen in this person's life previously, we just kind of all went in with a positive outlook and assumed that nothing would happen. And then therefore we weren't prepared for anything to happen. And we also didn't let, there were members there who didn't know that they didn't know what they were getting into. And it was really unfair to them. And so just be careful whenever you plan a big group outing, just know that you don't really know the people that you're going out with. And that's okay. Like, I'm not discouraging, hanging out with friends that you meet online, because I still do it. I've made some of the best friends I've ever met in my life, I met online and through the whole Bigfoot community thing. So I'm just saying, there is a downside to it. And it's something that I think everybody kind of needs to be prepared for, as far as having a satellite phone or having some sort of escape plan or something in case something does go wrong. And honestly, even if it were a freaking bear that ravaged through our camp, none of us were prepared. There was no way for any call to help or anything. I don't think anyone at that campsite at the time had a satellite phone or any way of contacting authorities for help. So that's something to keep in mind. Always have a way to get help if things start to go wrong, no matter if it's someone having a heart attack, someone freaking out and going crazy at people, or a bear or whatever. Just be prepared for anything to go down, because it's so easy to just be caught up in the moment and be caught up in having fun and walking around the woods in the middle of the night. It's so easy to just get lost in that. But at the same time, you got to be prepared, and you got to realize that you are meeting up with a bunch of strangers, and anything can happen. So just be careful out there, and be careful making these new friends and connections, but definitely don't let it dissuade you from doing it, because it's a lot of fun.
Sage advice.
Ironically enough, that event was something that was weighing in my mind especially a lot, because I was aware of it when I first started conceptualizing our website, Cryptid Connection, and we're trying to address that within the community, the way the website is set up now. Okay, I dragged that out of you, and that's good. You actually were excellent on that, because that is a message that needs to go out. Most people don't know it. They don't think about it. You are very correct when you say people aren't prepared. How many people, and I'm guilty of it myself. In Texas and Oklahoma, we don't really have bears, for example. And on the West Coast, we had bears all the time.
And in the East.
Even up north too with you. And you had to, you just got used to doing things, to keep the bears and everything else out of your camp or away from your food, just not to draw them in. And what I've noticed is a lot of people get sloppy, myself included. We'll end up leaving food out overnight, things like that. And some of us will joke about it, and we'll say, well, maybe it's like baiting Bigfoot in or everything else. And no, that's not it. We're just being stupid, lazy squatchers. And that's all there is to it, ultimately. And we should think about that. And I'm just using the bear as an example, but for any reason, because you're right. People don't. We don't know necessarily who we're always going out with every time. People get really... There are some groups that get really concerned about, let's say, their locations and wanting to keep things secret.
Right.
Every person who is out at a location needs to have someone that is not at that location, someone back home that does know where they are. That is something a lot of people don't do. And if you're going out whatever, that's fine. But you've got, you need to make sure people know where you are. That's the single probably biggest thing that needs to be done.
Yeah, if you can, send a pin of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily just a privacy thing or confidentiality thing. I mean, if that's a safety thing.
It's Sasquatch insurance.
Isn't that the truth? But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things we need to do to be safe. Not a lot of people carry sat phones. I understand that. You can get them cheaper now, but I'm thinking cheaper is still several $100s if I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one
or at
thing,
least have a designated person to have a car ready to go if something goes down.
Now, I'll tell you this: there is a habit that I picked up, actually down in Sam. We never ever pull our vehicles in. When we pull into an area, you always reverse them. You always point going back out. That way, when and your vehicle's always there. And here's another thing. I don't think anybody should be locking their vehicles. You're out in the woods. You're alone. Who's going to break into your vehicle? Especially if you're out. And now, I can see in camp maybe locking it overnight when you go to sleep. But I'm thinking about situations where everybody piles into the Jeep. They drive out, down the road, and there's this particular point they pull over, and we're going to go hike into the woods for half mile or something like that. Leave the vehicle unlocked.
Keep it accessible.
Not too many times. Well, yeah, actually, I'm going to say too many times because it's happened to me twice. It wasn't my car, and I need it in the vehicle. I want it in the vehicle. I remember this one time we were standing there, and just out of nowhere, literally within about 5 feet of where I was standing, I heard an extraordinarily loud, deep growl. I mean, there was this bush, and I remembered I was leaning over, kind of looking in the bush with my night vision, and all of a sudden, this bush growled back. It sounded like Satan growling. I mean, it was just like, whoo.
Gosh.
And I just backed up, walked over, and I was like, that's awfully close.
I'm going to sit on top of that car.
Yeah, there's the vehicle. So I go to get in the thing. I'm thinking, I'll just go sit in the back and wait for the other guys to get back here, and it was locked.
Oh my gosh.
I was just like, well, come on now. So I had to, I walk around the vehicle and I go over, and there's, about 50 yards down the road from where the vehicle was, I had someone else that was there and stuff. And, I walked over towards them, and, I was like, man, something just growled at me over there. And I really wish we could have gotten in that car. And they're like, nope, the car keys are out on the, they're on the trail. And I was like, we've got to work on this, because we ended up having to wait about an hour and a half before that guy got back. And, but yeah, it's just, it was just etiquette, and just planning ahead of time. Always, have it, because you never know when it happens. People really do every now and then, even if it's just 2 or 3 of you, or if it's 10 of you. I've seen it happen. You'll be in the woods, and next thing you know, for some reason, everyone's running for the vehicles, and they have to hop in and they take off.
Yeah.
All right, so let's take a little break learning about Mandy, and I'm gonna ask you to do something a little fun, Mandy, if you don't mind. It's called the Quick Cryptid Connection Query.
She can't even pronounce it right.
I can't. I'm going to do the Quick Cryptid Connection Query. This is a game that I've modified. I'm going to name off some cryptids. Some you might know, some you might not. If you know them, I want you to say yay if you've heard of them. You don't have to know exactly what they are, just if you've heard of them. If you've never, if you believe in them. If you do not believe in them, say nay. If you have never heard of them, have no idea, you can use the phrase, say what?
Okay.
And I have some Easter eggs, so to speak, hidden among these. I have one that was considered a cryptid up until about the 1800s. and one that is our big hairy fella friend. So let's see if we can spot those.
Or at least a cousin of our big hairy fellow.
A cousin of our friend. So for the quick cryptid connection query, here we go with Mandy Dupuis. Mandy, the mapping guru.
Yay.
The Hopkinsville goblin.
Nay.
The bullywhack.
Say what?
The tokulashi.
That's another say what?
The dobarchu.
Say what?
The qualipuckaluk. Mouthful. Qualipuckaluk.
Say what?
The Jabba Bofi.
Say what?
The Yara Mayahu.
Say what?
The Baba Yaga.
Say what?
The Kurapira.
I'm going to say nay on that one.
Fenrir.
One more time?
Fenrir. Fenrir.
I've heard of it in a book. Is that a giant wolf?
Yes, it is actually. That is correct. It's like a dire wolf.
I'm gonna say nay, but I don't know. I'd love if it were real.
Wouldn't that be cool? Narwhal.
Yeah. Narwhal, yes, for sure.
The Walpertinger.
Say what?
The Aspid Chelion.
Say what?
The Uku.
Say what?
Honey Island Swamp Monster.
Yay.
Duendendis.
Can you say it again?
Duendendis.
Say what? I don't think I've heard that one.
The Beast of Exmoor.
I'm going to say nay because I just am barely familiar with that one.
There was a few I had to look up to see what on earth these were, but you spotted one of the Easter eggs. Can you tell me which one?
The narwhal was one.
Very
if
good.
That's what you said.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm guessing the Honey Island Swamp Monster is supposed to be a Bigfoot.
It is a little bit of a Bigfoot, but it was I think somewhat of a lizard man.
Yeah, I was about to say I've heard lizard man too about it.
Yeah, the three-toed tracks. That's the Honey Island Swamp Monster. Yeah, okay.
The Uku was the Bigfoot cousin. It's from Chile. But the narwhal,
okay.
And the narwhal, which you spotted, was considered a seaman's tale until about the 1800s when it was officially documented.
They're so cool. Even when I watch footage of them today, I'm like, how is that a real animal?
Incredibly so. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, I have not heard a lot of those. I need to brush up on my cryptids.
That's okay. I was sitting here going, what in the world? Where does she find these things? I was just
they're
right
not
there with
made
you.
up.
No, evidently
they're not made up.
I don't know what her source is. I'm going to be interested to see how long she can keep this up. She's done this on every episode, and she's convinced.
Does she say different ones each time?
Yeah, she does, and that's what's really scary.
That's awesome.
And we're just going to have to see what happens because she's convinced this is going to be a semi-permanent fixture of the show, and I'm like, honey, at some point you're going to run out. You have to start recycling. What are your plans for the future as far as researching goes or anything like that? Are you planning on going anywhere or doing anything special, anything like that?
Well, a lot of my friends in Utah, I've got a pretty big group of friends out there. 15 to 20 other friends out there. They're doing a lot of cool stuff, and they always invite me along, and I pretty much only have to pay for a plane ticket out there. You know, they host me I jump around to different friends' houses. So it's really hard for me not to just jump on a plane and head out there. It's not like I have to plan a whole vacation sort of thing. So I hope there's several different research areas out there that we're checking out, and every season is different. So it's fun to go out there various times of the year and see what's going on. But I definitely want to try and get more involved in stuff in my own backyard here for sure, because there's so many stories, and it's, I know they're out here. I just don't have any really local friends to get out there with, that I know very well. So I'm hoping to make some more connections there and find some people to go out there with. And I know this is the time of year where it kind of starts to get pretty impossible to get out in the woods because of the mosquitoes and the undergrowth, and it's just miserable this time of year. But I definitely want to try and do more out here in Texas, and I'm looking forward to having some experiences of my own. I've never really had anything too crazy happen. I've just heard some stuff, pretty much is my extent of experiences go, but it's fun no matter what. I just love getting out in the woods, and I definitely want to keep this weird hobby of mine alive, whether it's doing, helping people out online or just getting out there on my own. I definitely enjoy it.
I understand that. I'm fairly new to the Bigfoot culture myself, last couple of years, and it's fascinating. It's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you there are some weird things that happen not too far from where you live.
I know.
Fact, last September, Jennifer almost got brained. I mean, that was our first, both of us, our first experience.
You mean like something was thrown at her head?
Exactly.
I always laughed at that experience when people said that. I'm like,
God.
yeah, right.
Yeah, you hear how things, you hear people talk about things getting thrown in camp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we had this one thing. It just happened out of the blue. We were camped just right off of a road. And as far as I can tell, the rock, it was a rock. It was about golf ball, as far as we could tell, golf ball size. It was thrown from across the road, and it hit a tree that was between where we were sitting and the road. In fact, Jennifer was sitting right in front of the tree. And this hit the tree dead center, maybe about 3 feet above where her head was. So, I mean, honestly, actually, if it got thrown in and it missed the tree, it wasn't going to actually hit anybody, but it's still fun to say, Jennifer almost got brained.
Right.
But, it sounded like a Louisville slugger hit that tree.
Wow.
And we've got a recording. I'm not going to play it right now, but at some point on some episode, I'm going to go ahead and play that recording, because my camp recorder was just almost right next to the road. It was away from the camp. I didn't want to get us talking and everything and overpowering everything, so I put it all the way over there by the road. And so it was closer to wherever this was thrown from than we were. And on the recording, you can hear it zipping through the branches. You never hear anything move. You never hear anything approach or go away. But all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you hear this rock going thump, 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 through the branches. Then there's a second for it to account going across the road. And then all of a sudden, whack, right there against the tree. And that ranks right up there as one of the more odd things that we've ever experienced. And that was practically next door to you.
Wow. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, some of the craziest stories when looking on, report maps of reports and stuff. I remember when I first started really looking into it, I was like, holy cow, I'm like right in the middle of all this.
Oh, yeah. I
didn't even realize.
You're right. All right. Now, you sent some audio to me earlier. Are you comfortable sharing that? I know you don't. I know you want to keep some stuff vague and everything to protect the locations and everything.
Well, can you tell us
us about it?
Yeah. So this is on a trip not too long ago. I was with some friends up in northern Utah, and this is off of a road called the North Ogden Divide, where there are tons of sightings and reports in that area. And we were it's in Weber County, and that's one of the highest. That has one of the highest reported amount of sightings per county in Utah. And so we were just walking along trying to get back to the car, and it was with a group of us. And none of us had really had any big experiences ever. And we were walking along this trail, and once we get into this kind of like clearing, we hear this. Well, we had stopped because we had seen some eye shine off to the left, and we thought it was a moose. And we're pretty sure it was a moose. So we were looking at that, trying to like shine the flashlights to see if we could see the moose. And then all of a sudden we hear this whooping sound come from maybe about half a mile away from the base of this hill. And it was around midnight. And we're not too far from the road, so you can kind of hear some cars going by. But before I had hit record, we had been hearing this for about like a minute, and we were like standing there kind of shocked because we're all kind of pretty skeptical. We were all trying to like ask each other, like, is it an owl? Is it a coyote? Is it this or that? But it was a pretty classic, Bigfoot whoop, like they say. So, none of us are positive on what it was, but we were all really excited to have heard it. No matter what it is, it's something that none of us had heard before. And
to get it documented besides.
What's that?
To get it documented besides, you have those occasions where you heard something and you didn't have ability to document it, but you have it here.
Exactly. And we were all kind of stunned. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh wait, I should probably record this, but I didn't really think my phone would pick it up, but it actually picked it up. It picked it up okay. And then afterward we listened to different owls and different, other animal sounds, and we couldn't find anything that fits it. So we're not sure what it is, but it was exciting. It was pretty cool.
Okay, now just for clarification, and this is me being a little bit of a tech geek here. For people who are about to listen to this, do you mind sharing what model phone you had?
I have the iPhone 7 Plus.
Okay, that way we've got the recording. I just felt like it was important to say, okay, it was recorded with this, and so. Okay, this is the first time we've played a recording.
Not an Apple advertisement.
No, it's not an Apple advertisement. Thank you.
Sorry.
But I love my Apple. Let's see if we can get this to play right.
Okay, I'm recording.
Very interesting, actually. That was a true kind of a whoop type sound.
It sounded whoopy.
That's a good description.
And I'm going to say I have heard similar sounds like that you cannot assign an animal to, and even when you Google it, it's like okay.
Yeah, and obviously in person it was louder to us than what it seems like on the recording, and it just sounded like it was either like a human making that noise, imitating something, or it was something with like a human type sort of vocal range or something. Like it was hard to describe. Like it sounded like a person making that noise, but unless for some reason there were like other squatchers over there, I guess, but it was a very loud sort of, it just didn't sound like an owl to me. And that's the only thing that could relatively be similar, I guess.
I'm looking at it for the first time on Spectrograph. I just flipped over to Spectrograph.
Okay.
You have our mystery animal.
We're gonna, if with your permission, we might post a picture of this.
Yes.
Compared to one we've also
your recording just got a lot more interesting to me. This whoop sound, the spectrum, and I'm sorry you can't see this. I'll send you an email with the picture.
And with your permission, we'll post it.
We recorded one similar to this in Oklahoma. Yeah, it's exact. Yeah, Jen's pointing at the screen. She's going, "That's it, exactly." And so, cool. But now, no, ours was a little bit different because I think, and I've always suspected this, I think we had multiple responses because one would, you would hear this whoop, and actually there was a kind of a flat howl, for lack of a better term, and then this whoop immediately followed. And then all of a sudden there is a descending whoop, if that makes any sense. Because this whoop goes up, you know, it goes whoop.
It does,
and you get another one that goes whoop, kind of a sound afterwards. And the situation is actually, it's
these are incredibly similar.
Yeah, they are very similar. And we have another recording that was given to me about 2 weeks ago by one of our members, that was recorded in Southeast Texas, and this one has coyotes in it. And I was actually really surprised because the coyotes kick off, and you know, you hear all these other animals in the background, and then we hear our mystery howler, but then this whoop started to show up, and it only showed up like twice, but it was the same call, and when listening to it, you could tell it was a different animal than the coyotes. And so this is actually the third piece of audio I've seen that have that signature. Now, we don't know what it is. It could be a bird. You know, it could be a chipmunk. You know, I mean, you know, who knows? At this time, we have not been able to have anyone come forward and say, I'm sorry, this is the pileated woodpecker, or you know, or something like that. This is the barn owl,
right?
And this is why we say it is that. No one's even come up and said, "Oh yeah, that's this." I mean, much less this is why it's this. And so we would like people to say, you know, if this is a coyote or if this is a wolf or something like that, just let us know. I mean, you know, even if it's an elk, what we want is a documented, recorded sound. You know, and specifically, it would be really awesome if they had video of the animal making, you know, making that sound. And we haven't been able to find it yet. And you are very interested. Let me see. We're gonna I want to play that for you. I want you to hear the audio that I'm talking about and everything. Okay. So give me 1 second. I've got to dig it up.
Now, I noticed in the background of your recording, I might have heard a vehicle. Was that correct? I have a little cold right now. Okay. So that's interesting.
There's definitely cars not too far.
Like a major highway or just random cars?
It's called the North Ogden Divide.
Okay.
So it's like a canyon road that's going through there, and the cars are like louder on the recording than I remember them being. It's like it's picking up the bass of the cars a lot more, I think. So it did not seem as loud standing there. I'm
going to say, our sound is similar. We have a vehicle or two in the background, and you still hear the animal loud and clear.
Yeah, that's cool.
Give me a second here. I'll have to come back and edit to take some of this out. I'm trying to locate it right now.
And whatever sort of tech you have that can enhance that or whatever, like
I totally had to do that.
You want with it.
I'm going to send you back your file. I had to. I totally had to enhance it because it was so quiet, and so I had to bring it up and amplify it out. The vehicle
that for any of your research.
Okay. I was about to say the vehicle itself was not that loud, so I'm not worried too much about it. I can hear the animal clearly.
Yeah, you can. I was just curious because, like I said, I have a cold and just wanted to make sure
we both have
right.
colds. We both have colds right now, so we're both sounding underwater. Let's see here. Spectral.
We'd love to hear your opinion.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up on Spectrogram so Jennifer can see. though I think she knew instantly from what I was talking
Look
about.
at that.
And I actually had a printout of this spectrogram at the conference last month in Huntsville. But yeah, here are those whoops. Okay, the story behind this video, or this audio rather, is it's southern Oklahoma. We had just placed a recorder at the end of a road. We're near a creek. Actually, we're right up against a creek. And
we drove away.
Yeah, we drove away. I mean, we were there when it was still daylight. And it looked deserted enough. Come to find out, after I got the recording back home and went through it and everything, we actually had 3 vehicles that night that came to this location at various times. There is one here, which is really just odd. I don't know what this guy, and I'm assuming it's a guy, I don't know what they were doing. For all we know, actually, maybe it was teenagers, and we know exactly what they were doing. They were parked. They just pulled up, and you hear them idle for about an hour. And it sounds like they parked right on top of the audio recorder. I've removed as much of the vehicle as I can. The deal is, you'll hear the howls start up, and then after like the 3rd or 4th one, I think they've noticed, and so they decide to put it in drive, and they start going away. And the howls keep going as they're driving out. And when you leave this little area, you have to cross the creek on a little bridge, and you'll hear them. You hear them drive across the bridge, and then after that, notice the howls, because they change. As soon as they've left the area, those howls change. So the whole thing's okay. So yeah, let's see here. Here we go.
That is so cool.
Isn't it just the most bizarre thing you've ever heard?
Oh my gosh.
And I swear, it sounds like
so
they spooked.
Primal.
Yeah, and I think they chased the truck out. I think they spooked whoever was in the truck. And
my goodness.
But you heard, I mean, did you see what I mean about when you hear the truck go across the bridge and all of a sudden they change? It's like they go into a victory dance. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to send you an email with the picture of your spectrogram and then the spectrogram of that one. So you can see what we're talking about, how they actually look very similar, the components.
Mm-hmm. I've been out in the woods a lot, like growing up, hunting with my dad and stuff. I've heard coyotes a ton. I've never heard anything like that.
No, and that's the thing. That is a unique recording. I've had people say, yeah, I think I've heard that once or twice, but it's never like that. It's always individual little things. Okay, here's your picture. All right, when you see mine, it'll look like it's double, and that's because it was recorded in stereo. You should have it. Now, the first one I titled Mandy is yours. Mm-hmm. And then the second one I titled Oklahoma WMA is ours. But do you see?
Yeah, it's like, but like mine are like just maybe further away, but
yeah,
same shape.
Yep, you see that almost identical shape to those whoops, but you can see the response coming down right after that whoop was made. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Use this audio for sure if y'all are like keeping track of.
We are.
If you're able to look at the image and stuff, like that's cool. Because I was thinking, I was like, I don't know, this is some cool audio, but I don't know who to give it to. So I've just been, holding on to it.
It's incredible how much it mirrors what we accidentally picked up too. That's great.
Yeah, and so.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Alrighty then. It's been fun talking with you and
learning a little bit about.
Yeah. Well, you have a good night, Mandy.
All right, y'all too. Good night.
Okay. Good night.
When he's aiming at the target in his head, and every broken man finds his idle hands grasping at tomorrow's promised land. And I've been thinking about running, and I'll get out on the town just for myself. And that's when I saw her, and she looked right through me. And when I said I do that day, every cowboy, he always misses his shot when he's aiming at the target in his head. And every broken man finds his idle hands grasping at tomorrow's promised land. And I've been thinking about riding, and when I get the first draft back with no red ink, but I've been thinking to do my best work. Yeah, I've gotta leave this town to find my way. And when that plane touched down on that island town, I knew that my life's work was in their hands. So I started digging wells of water, and I'm a hero in their eyes. It's clear to see, 'cause every about the time that I have wasted sitting here. 'Cause I've been thinking that all this thinking is the thing that keeps me first.